G'day guys, how's it going? In this tutorial we are going to be looking at how to understand rhythm. Now music is made up of two components. One is pitch, meaning notes, and the other is rhythm. When most students start playing music for the first time, they concentrate on getting the notes correct and tend to ignore the rhythm. This usually leads to the music sounding incorrect and the student wondering why. Let me give you an example of this. Here is a popular guitar riff you may know. Okay, so now I'm going to play the same guitar riff, but I'm going to get the rhythm incorrect. Okay, now that sounds pretty bad because I struck each note at the incorrect time and I also made the length of each note incorrect. To be able to play a rhythm successfully, we need to know when to play a note and how long it is held for, meaning the length, yeah? We can do this by using a measuring system that acts like a ruler. This ruler is based on the song's time signature, which means how many beats there are in the song cycle before the cycle begins again. Now, if you don't understand what a time signature is, go and check out my tutorial on time signatures. There is a link in the description below. So once we know how many beats there are in a song cycle, we can then give each beat a count and use symbols to tell us the length of each note. Now, I know your eyes are probably glazing over at this stage. I mean, yeah, my eyes were glazing over as I was trying to explain it. But let me show you a chocolate bar. Now is that, yeah it is, yeah it's a chocolate bar. Okay, and I'm going to use this chocolate bar to describe to you what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's get into it. Here we go. Okay, so here we have our whole note, and a whole note is this little symbol here, and the whole note goes for 4 counts, or you might say 4 beats or 4 quarters, and here is our chocolate bar representing the length of this whole note. And of course this chocolate bar, as you can see, is 4 squares or 4 beats or 4 quarters long. Now over on this side is a whole note rest, and a whole note rest also goes for 4 counts or 4 beats or 4 quarters. Okay, so that is a whole note. Now how a whole note will sound is basically if I play a note here on the guitar and then count till 4, you'll hear what a whole note should sound like. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then again 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's keep moving. Now the next note we have here is a half note. A half note is also known as a minim, and a half note is displayed as this little symbol here, and this is a half note rest. And as you may recall, that the whole note looked pretty similar to the half note. The way to remember the difference between the two is that a half note sits on the halfway line, yeah, and a whole note actually dangled there from the top of this line here. Now a whole note is counted 1, 2, yeah, and it goes for 2 counts each. And as you can see here, here's our chocolate bar cut in half, and it goes for 2 quarters or 2 counts, 2 beats. And I'm now going to play this on the guitar so you can hear it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it is important to get the length of the note correct. However, if you're starting out, I recommend only worrying about when to strike the note. That's probably more important at this stage, and as you get better, you can work on making sure that the note lasts the correct amount of time. Okay, here is our quarter note, also known as a crotchet, and this is the symbol of our quarter note. And as you can see, there's 4 quarters that make up this bar, and each quarter goes for 1 count each. And over here you can see what a quarter note rest looks like. Looks like almost like a funny Z. And of course they go for 1 count each, and you can see it represented down here with our chocolate bar, and each chocolate piece is 1 quarter in length. Now this is what the quarters sound like. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So as you can hear, there is 1 strike per count. Okay, next up is the 8th note. Now the 8th note is also called a quaver, and as you can see that an 8th note is half of a quarter, and 2 of these quavers here, or 2 of these 8th notes, make up 1 quarter. Here's the 2nd quarter, here's our 3rd quarter and 4th quarter, and over here are our 8th note rests. And down the bottom you can see our chocolate pieces cut up into 8ths, and an easy way to remember 8ths is that there should be 8 pieces of chocolate in our bar here. Okay, so let's hear what an 8th note will sound like. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now basically you might say that 8th notes are twice as fast as quarters. Really what it is that 8th notes are half the length, so they do sound faster. Okay, next up is 16th notes, and a 16th note is also called a semiquaver. And of course, with 16th notes, that means that they're going to be 16 of these notes within 1 bar of 4/4. And as you can see here, there are 16 pieces of my chocolate bar, and I've done a terrible job at cutting them up. You can see they look pretty bad. They're totally broken. Anyway, it was an easy job. And over here is our 16th note rests, and this is how you count 16th notes, and it is counted 1 E and A. Now you don't go 1 E and A, because that sounds a bit Australian, and so you want to make it sound a little bit more English. 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A, and here is a playing description of it. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and so of course each note is 1/4 of a quarter, yeah, or 1/4 of a quarter. Okay, maybe I should leave it at that. Anyway, let's keep moving. Now here is an 8th note triplet. Now triplets, notes are not only just cut in half, they can also be cut into thirds, and this is the case here. Each of these little bracket of 3 notes equals 1/4. So and over here is our 8th note triplet rests, and they are counted 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and as you can see, here is our representation of triplets with our chocolate bar. And here is me playing triplets. This is what they sound like. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Now here are 32nd notes. Now we do have smaller divisions than 16th notes, and don't ever really worry about this rhythm. You'll hardly ever see 32nd notes. Basically it means that there are going to be 32 notes in the bar. That is extremely fast, and you're only really going to hear it as like a drum roll, like brrrr. So I wouldn't really worry about that. And here are our 32nd note rests. And if you want to know what they are also called, they're called demi-semi-quavers. Okay, so anyway, that should just be interesting, probably not very useful. Now, if you want the absolute absurd, then we have 64th notes. That means that there are 64 notes in the bar, which is going to be, you know, twice as fast as 32nd notes, or twice as short. And here are our 64th note rests, and 64th notes are also called hemi, demi, semi quavers. So next time you play Trivial Pursuit, I'm sure you could now answer the question about hemi, demi, semi quavers. Okay, let's keep moving because this is totally wrong. And finally, here is an example of a rhythm with different note divisions. So the first one is a quarter, and as you can see, here is our quarter of a chocolate bar, followed by an 8th note rest, and then an 1/8 of a chocolate bar, followed by a half note, and our half of a chocolate bar. Then we have 2 1/8 notes, and then a quarter, and then an 8th note rest, one more 8th note, and then a quarter rest. So I'm going to play you this so you can hear what it sounds like. And here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Well, there we go. Delicious, right? So, what has been your experience with rhythm? Do you ever count while you play, or do you just wing it? I'd love to hear from you, so please leave your advice or even horror stories in the comments. And if you'd like to see more tutorials like this, hit the subscribe button so you're notified when the next one is released. Thanks guys, and I'll see you in the next tut. Bye!